wrestler and the stripper.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Borderline with the wrestler and the stripper. My name is Michael Maggiolotti, a.k.a. the Rebel StarBuck. I've been a pro wrestler around the world over the past 26 plus years, and beside me is international showgirl and stripper for the past 11 years, Irina Tundra.
Hi, guys.
And we are discussing all kinds of one-on-one that you are interested in, that you want to know, and that is pretty much, it's commonplace all around the world. For example, values, perspectives, ethics, and all that good stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about relationships right off the bat. What do you think about that?
Sounds good. Sounds interesting.
You know what they say, Irina? They say that wrestlers and strippers go together like bees and honey. Did you know that?
Oh, I've heard you say that, yeah.
No, you heard me say that. We haven't heard nobody else say that?
No, I haven't.
Well, I got to tell you, have you seen Mickey Rourke's the Wrestler movie from 2008?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Marissa Tomei plays Mickey Rourke's love interest, and she's a stripper in the movie.
Oh, wow.
And Mickey Rourke is a veteran pro wrestler who's been around the block for quite a while, and is still hanging on with his last breath. And it's somewhat of a love story in some fashion. And they often say in our business, in the pro wrestling industry, that wrestlers go together with strippers perfectly because we mirror each other's, how could you say, our lifestyles, or then our vocations somehow meld together rather well. Now, I'm not sure if this is quite the case, because we're going to find out how well, let's say, my conservative values mesh with perhaps maybe your more liberal values as we talk about different topics here on Borderline. And today's topic is relationships. So now my first question is, and let me know what you think, but there's a female imperative to relationships in general, where women expect a certain kind of, how could you say, a certain kind of value from the relationship, whereas men expect something from the woman also. It's almost like a trade of services, in a way, if you think about it. Now, as a woman, what would you say that you're expecting if you were to enter into a relationship with a man? What is it that you're looking for?
Well, let's start. I'm not looking, but
If you were.
hypothetically speaking, if I was looking for someone or for a relationship, I would be looking for mutual respect. I think that's the most important thing.
What does the guy got to bring to the table to facilitate and to make for a hopefully successful long-term relationship?
Mm-hmm. Well, he has to have a job, because he has to have like something to do.
Well, is it just any job? Can he be a plumber?
If he's a good person, yeah.
If he's a good person, it's all right if he's a plumber?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a CEO, so he can be like a garbage man or something. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, I think I know where you're going, but of course his income does matter, because I don't want to be like providing for him. It has to be like
He's got to be independent?
Yeah, you gotta be independent. Have something to do, that I'm not the only thing that he's like occupied with.
So in other words, he has to have interests in his own life, some hobbies or some kinds of...
Hobbies, a job, yes, interests.
What about you as a woman? Well, how do you see, what does a woman bring to the table? So it's like a trade of services. When you enter into a relationship, the man expects the woman, for example, to be good looking, to be attractive, to be sexually desirable, which is, par for the course. A woman expects a man to bring home the bread and butter still. Do you feel that's the way it is still today in our modern era? Is the man still the main bread earner in the household, or how do you see it?
Well, in Finland, we have a lot of this like 50-50 relationships, where both work and both bring, and we pay rent and everything like half and half.
Mm-hmm.
That's very common in Finland, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
In many cultures, I see that still people expect the man to bring kind of the money home.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see relationships as it is, like you said, like a trade, or that we do have to make compromises in a relationship. Like it's not, your life will not continue the same how it was when you were a bachelor or a bachelorette. Or single.
How do you see, like, what are the things that you must bring to the table? Because the thing is that you can't enter into a relationship and not bring anything. Just like, I remember I was talking to this one chick just a while ago, and she said that when I asked her, well, what do you bring to the relationship? She said, well, I bring myself. And I thought, like, well, that's just the lamest thing ever. That why in the world would you just bring yourself without any argument as what is it that you're actually bringing to the table? And I mean,
doesn't the man bring himself?
Yeah, but what is he bringing in the end, right?
Yeah.
Like, does he have any attributes that you need? In other words, is there a complementary element that needs to be there, in your opinion? That there's something that you don't have in your life, or there's some trait that you don't own that you're expecting the other person to have to make you a more complete person? How do you see that?
Well, I see it as if I was to take a man into my life, and I see it as, yeah, like I would have to give a little bit, like give something up from my single life or alone living life. So I do want in return something that is of the same value.
So value for value.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a sort of kind of like a trade. Because I don't want to be like just giving and giving and giving and not getting anything back. Like no matter how much I love, if I just keep giving and giving year in and year out and not getting anything back, then it will drain me.
Of course.
At some point. So that's why I do want to get something back.
I think you have to get something back because
exactly.
it's somebody once said it's like a piggy bank that, for example, that in a relationship you have to be able to put in order to take out. In other words, you must first like put money into the piggy bank, consecutively, time after time after time. You have to be, it's a regular occurrence where you're putting value, you're putting money, you're putting like an investment into the relationship, into that piggy bank, so that when the hard times come or when you need to take something out of it, you have something to take from. But I'm thinking still that nowadays, do you believe that there's a, how could you say, a polarity that still needs to be amongst the sexes? For example, now I'm going to just say that there's only two sexes. We're only talking about men and women right now. I'm not talking about the 70 other ones that people claim that there is out there, but because I don't believe in that.
Come on.
No, I don't. I mean, like, what, you're going to be like a refrigerator today? You're going to be like a Toyota the next day? How does it work? I mean, no. I mean, I'm sorry, but the thing is, you're either XXXY chromosome. So, I mean, it's like you pick one or the other, right?
But
so,
how about the XXY chromosome person?
What about the ABC?
But there's only X and Y. But then there's different
But I'm saying that, like, since the beginning of time anyway. So it takes a man takes a man and a woman to procreate, and therefore it's like that's your building blocks right there. But
or some have like both sexes, like physically. Some have like women's outer but nothing inside. Like how
that's an anomaly though. That's like a freak occurrence. I mean that.
Yeah. So how do you where do you put that person?
Well, I mean it's the same thing in the animal kingdom. I mean sometimes you have animals that are born that are. They're a bit of an anomaly. They can't procreate. They can't. I mean, so it's like the genetic code requires a male and a female to procreate and to continue the human species. So I mean, in other words, so that's your basic foundational building block right there. End of conversation. But nonetheless, it's. But if you're thinking about it from that perspective, do you think that there's still a polarity that needs to exist between the sexes? In other words, that back in, let's say, the 50s, the woman knew what she had to bring to the relationship in order to be, how could you say, viable, to be wife material for a man, right? A man knew what he had to produce in order to be a responsible how could you say, a caretaking husband, right, for the family unit. Do you think that this kind of polarity still exists where, like back in the day, the woman had to cook, she had to clean, she had to, like, your grandmother taught your mother how to be a good housewife, and your mother passed that on to you as a daughter, and that was something that, like, prepared you for life in general. And I find that nowadays there's so many women, for example, that they don't want to cook, they don't want to clean, they don't want to do like anything at all. They feel that it's sexist, that it's demeaning, that it's somehow it makes them less than if they must do these things. How do you feel about that, for example, in a relationship where is there a polarity? In other words, must you have, you got the plus here and you got the minus here, and then it's like a battery, right? So do you need that polarity to make a relationship work, or no?
Yeah, about the trade, I want to say, I mean, it's weird to think that we're trading in a relationship, but I mean, when you look at it, subjective or without feelings.
Well, exactly.
That's what it is.
Well, the thing is, if I give up,
we're not talking only about money.
No.
We're talking about, like you said, values, things that we do, time that we put in. I think I feel that in modern relationships, it's often people think they decide we are now together, and then it kind of stops. Like, we don't take care of the relationship.
You don't nurture it.
We don't nurture the relationship anymore, especially when people get married. It feels like it's like they put their name, okay, now it's sealed, and they expect it to be that same way for all eternity. Like, you don't have to do anything. It's sealed, it's done, we're ready. Now let's live life. But I mean, you have to constantly nurture it.
Of course.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that people have lost.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think they've lost it because of, is it individualism? Is it because of, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I notice a lot. People, maybe they get used to living single. I don't know. But they kind of want to keep all the same freedoms, comfortness of the single life, but they still want to have that other person in their life. But I'm saying you can't do that, because you have to take the other person into consideration as well. If you want to be in a relationship with him, then you have to consider him as well. You are not anymore one person, you are two people.
And the two become one.
Well,
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
It's a synergy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's completely lost nowadays. People, they want to be in a relationship, but they want to live like they were single.
It doesn't work that way.
For me, it doesn't. No.
I don't think it works that way either, because the thing is that, put it this way, if I give up a certain amount of my freedom, because the thing is, if I enter into a relationship with a girl,
you give up a little bit.
Yeah, I might even give up quite a bit, depending on like how needy she is or whatever. But the thing is that, or what the requirements, so to speak, are. But nonetheless, I'm giving up a part of my freedom to enter into a union with a woman. In other words, therefore, if I'm giving something up, I must get something in return.
Yeah,
that's why.
Otherwise, it will drain you. If
exactly.
You're just giving.
That's right.
And the other person is never giving nothing back.
That's it. That's it.
And now about like you said, in the 50s, it was that way, and now it's, it has changed a lot, and I think a big reason for that is, like, it's not as clear anymore. Back then it was quite clear. Okay, man works and brings the money to the home, and woman takes care of the home, cooks, cleans, raises the children. But
So gender roles. So the gender roles were
Were
very
very
much more
clear.
specific
Yeah.
back in the day, and now they're not very specific at all. Right.
No,
Now, do you think
they're
it's
a little bit turned around?
Yes.
Like women are in the
Force.
workforce, work world. Men are cleaning and cooking, and paternity leave, which was like never heard of back then. So.
But how do you feel? Like, is this for the betterment of society that it has turned around like this, or is it like is it to the detriment of society? Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing?
I think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing.
I think it's a terrible thing.
Yeah. I am like a career woman, business woman, so I just would not survive as a housewife. I need to have something of my own, something I do.
So there's like an ambition that you have. You need to fulfill like
Yeah.
internal ambition, and there's a
Yes.
flame that's flickering on the inside. You need to heed the flame.
Yes, and I love money. I want to make money.
Well, we're going to be talking about money, by the way,
Yeah.
in Borderline later on. So just wait for the next episodes to
Yeah.
come up. But nonetheless,
So, but that's why I just can't just sit at home. Of course, there's a lot to do at home, but I still have like this. I want to make money. I want to do business, so I don't think I could. So I think that kind of women, they wanted to like also work. And, yeah.
so is there a long-term recipe for, like, let's say, long-term success? Is there some kind of recipe that you believe exists that you can make it all the way to the end? Like, let's say your grandmother, your grandfather, they didn't split up, they were together for 50, 60 years. Do you think that this is still possible? What does it take to make it all the way? And is it worth it? Is that what people want? Or is that what you would want? Would you want to go the distance with one guy for the rest of your life? You're going to wake up next to that guy for the rest of your life. It's just you and him, nobody else. Can you handle it? Just you, personally. Yes or no?
Hard to say. If he's a good man, then why not?
But it takes a lot of damn work.
But it takes a lot of damn work. Yeah, so I think then the women going into work, and then maybe it's not this way it went, but I feel maybe, this is my theory, women started making money as well as men, so now there was two people making money into the household, so then prices could go up.
Of
Because
course.
now the household has more money.
Double taxation, by the way.
Yep. So now we have come to the point when both have to work to make the ends meet. The costs have gone so
Yeah, the cost of living is so high that you
high.
have to. Exactly, yeah.
Both have to. Like there is no choice. One person cannot sustain a household.
Exactly.
So-
Unless you have a white collar job, not blue collar. Unless you got a white collar job, like let's say a high medical profession or whatnot, that pays you so well that you can pull that off. But that's pretty rare nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're in the 7% of the world's population that we have a flushable toilet, we have running water, we have a refrigerator, we have a bed to sleep in, we have heat in the house. I think about 7% of the world's population has all these things.
Okay.
So in other words, to demand something more, to end, like, to be in the top 3%, the top 1%, it would take such a huge jump to make it there financially that it's ridiculous to even demand that from a relationship if you think that we're already in the 7%. Right?
And to demand to be in the 1%.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, is it easier on your own, or is it easier or would you rather be with somebody? In other words, would you rather be in a relationship? Or would you rather just stick it out on your own and just do your own thing?
I'd rather stick it out on my own.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, what I learned from my marriage was that I cannot live with another person. I just cannot live with another person in the house. Or he has to be like away 90% of the year. I don't know. Cause I just can't stand another person in the house.
But was it that were you not getting something that you needed? Was there something missing that you needed, that if you would have gotten that one thing, or that, let's say, that predominant thing that was missing, you could have actually stuck it out in the relationship?
No, I could not.
Really?
No, I could not.
See, for me, as a man, I think the number one thing for me is respect. I mean, the thing is, if
for
you...
me too.
No, but I'm saying as a man, for me, that if a woman doesn't respect me, in other words, if I don't have authority in the household, like, for example, the man cave, I think is complete bullshit. Right? The entire house is my castle, period.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's my house, for crying out loud. I'm the king of the frickin' castle.
Okay.
That's just the way it goes. I mean, it's not being sexist. It's not being erroneous. It's not being extravagant. It's that if you are facilitating that house, if you are the one paying for that house, and if you're
of course, if you're the one paying,
but even if you're paying together, but by the same token, it's like if you pay together and you relegate the man to a small one room in the basement of the house called the man cave, or in his garage, that's his place. In other words, the entire house, otherwise, it's the woman's place, right? It's the woman's turf, except the man can have that one room in the basement. That's complete horseshit, because the thing is, if you're both paying into it, even if you're in the modern system, with the cost of living being what it is, but if you're paying both of yous to facilitate that lifestyle, it's a common house, and the man can be the king of the house, the woman can be the queen of the house. It's all the same, but the thing is, the man has to be the king of the house. And that's, for me, that's the thing about respect, is that if I don't feel the respect towards me as a person, towards what I do, towards what I bring to the table, towards my attributes, my character, and the ambition that I show in my life, if the woman doesn't respect that, there's no deal at all. I mean, it's like that's a deal breaker for me. In other words, if the woman were to just, let's say, criticize me constantly, just critique, bitch, moan, complain, and just want something more all the time, want something more, she'd lose me. Because the thing is that then I feel like none of my deeds, none of my works, none of my character, nothing within me is enough for this woman. In other words, I put my best foot forward, and it's not enough. So therefore, without that first initial spark of respect, there's no deal whatsoever. That's the way for me personally, that's how I roll.
Okay. About the man cave, that's the first time I hear that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I thought man cave was like a single man's home.
No, that's a bachelor pad. That's a different ball of wax.
Yeah, that's the first time I hear that. So I'm like, or when you live with your parents in the basement.
No,
I could imagine that.
No.
Not in a relationship. Oh my God.
No.
No.
Well, what do you guys think? What does a relationship take? What does it require?
Do you have a man cave in your house?
Yeah, do you have a man cave? Have you relegated? Have you given up men? Have you given up your masculine authority? And have you retired to your man cave like a good little puppy? Or are you the king of your castle? What is it? So what is it that you're looking for in a relationship? Write in the comments section below. Let us know what you think. What is it that a successful relationship requires in order to go the distance and in order to work? This has been Borderline with the wrestler and the stripper.
Borderline. Borderline. Borderline with the wrestler and the stripper.